seconds early, Sean. I think this is the first time you've been early for fucking anything. Jesus Christ.
Well, before we went, well, go ahead, Eric.
No, I'm fucking amazed by you. That's 10 seconds of my life I'm never getting back.
Well, you wasted 10 seconds. Well, you see, right before we hit the record button to go live, you were asking Mick, is he going to race it on Sunday? So I was kind of like, before you annoy him anymore, we'll go straight in.
So, Mick, you're just going for a stroll on Sunday?
Yeah, we'll just go around and have some fun. see how many signs you can read on the way around.
That's not what he said before his son. He's almost throwing his cup of tea over Eric. He could.
I had to love it though. Before we were coming on, it was, Mick, do you want to come on? Yeah, I'll just make a cup of tea, lads. Be with us now. Me and Sean have been prepping, doing ads, doing this. Like, oh, here we go. Just the first live mix. Like, just get a cup of tea with you in a minute.
I need all the hard work down to you guys.
How did it go in the last week of training? When you were with Ricky, obviously, where were you, Mick, when you were doing a little bit of training there?
We went out to a place in French Pyrenees called Font-Romeu. Went out for 15 days. So it was good, yeah. It's one of those places you feel because you're there that you should be putting in a mental amount of running, but then you also need to be careful not to overdo it and cook yourself, So trying to find that fine line to understand that when you're at altitude, it's a big help alone. Never mind trying to do crazy miles on top of it, like.
Were you doing this as a training partner to Ricky? He was there with you. I saw the video where you were recording a nice scenic video in the Pyrenees and he was hocking Golliers and snotting all over the course. Was it to accompany him in training, or were you doing a little bit of altitude training, or what was it?
No, I've gone to this place for the last maybe 3 years before Dublin. So I just do that on my own bat, like, and then this year, sort of kind of like last minute, I asked and invited Ricky to come along to see did he fancy it, like, just because we're good friends, you know what I mean? And Ricky's a very good athlete, and for me, I don't get to run with anybody too often. Like, so the last few years I've gone out, I've been doing most of my running by myself. This time was brilliant because everybody knows he's seriously good running around trails and mountains and stuff. So we kind of matched well because they're not very extreme trails. They're not the sort of gnarly stuff he'd be used to. So I could sort of hold my own a wee bit, but at the same time, I still had a training partner for 2 weeks. Like, he's not an easy wee man to shake off. Like.
I said competitive edge must have got in once or twice in that one to just go, see what we have here in the straight or something. Now we're not on the even surface as opposed to mountains where he definitely excels.
Yeah, look, he's brilliant at that. And out there has everything. It has trails, it has steep mountains, it has high altitude, but it has roads as well. So most days we were doing like a 25k run in the morning, and it probably had a touch of everything in it. So you would find little parts where I'd be a little bit stronger and then little parts where he'd be a bit stronger. Without even having to talk to each other or say anything about it, you kind of just notice these things happening. Do you know what I mean? And we'd leave together and we'd tip about together, and then I'd get a little gap and then he'd come back, and then look, it's great. It's great just to have somebody to run with and train with. And then if you're out there, it's tough enough to put the time in. If you're with good people like that you get on well with and you're good friends with, it makes it a big help. Like.
And you're finding that this has helped you over the last couple of marathons. Obviously, the last time we talked, it was the 221. Are you finding that the altitude is giving you that little extra edge?
Yeah, I did it. I've did it, like I said, the last 2 years. But 2 years ago, I went and I come home with a hurt Achilles, and I just got around Dublin. Like, I still ran well, I ran a PB. But then last year, my whole goal was going to altitude was to try and just make sure and come home safe, come home in one piece, don't come home hurt or injured. So I learned a lot more probably from getting hurt, like, just to back off a wee bit and don't get too wired into it. And then this year I sort of went back with that same mindset. Look, you don't need to do anything too mental, and just come home in one piece. Like, so that was the goal, and thankfully I'm home in one piece.
Well, if me and Eric were doing this preview show, the marathon, that would pretty much be the team. Everything we did wrong and stuff, and go from there. And that's why you're joining us on this one, Mick. Before we get into obviously the race itself and stuff like that, one of the questions we got that we haven't really touched too much is, I assume you travel down a day or two before for the Dublin Marathon towards that, or you go down straight down in the morning down in the morning.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. How does that? Because we had one person say they're going to drive for 2 hours down into it. For people traveling on the morning to the event and parking the car up and anything like that, do you have any tips in terms of that kind of way? Because when we're talking about this, usually it's like we're two wannabe dubs, I'm going to say, Eric, who get dropped in close to it, back in a few minutes to go and push on through. But you obviously have to be a lot more prepped than that, get there in time. So what tips would you have for people that travel on the morning?
Obviously, it depends on how far. Like, I'm not going to tell someone that you should drive that morning if you live 3 hours away. Sitting in the car for 3 hours isn't going to be good. We're just over an hour away, so it's not that bad at all. With me, I would 100% prefer to stay in my own bed, get up and go to my own toilet and eat my own breakfast. Do you know what I mean? Like, the hotels are great and stuff like that, but you go to a hotel, you don't know what time they're going to open the kitchen at. You don't know if they're going to give you porridge or they're going to let you use the toaster. Is the toaster going to be broke? Are you going to get a good night's sleep in a different bed? I just think that morning, if you can make it as easy and as normal as possible, like if you're in your own house and you're leaving your own home, you don't be as nervous or you're not going to be as wired up. You know what I mean? You're driving down the road there that you normally drive around every day of the week anyway. So, in regards to getting there in time, obviously, you can only get in so far and where you're going to park. Everybody has their own chosen parking space. I was speaking to someone today who's prepaid a multi-story. Maybe that's the way to do it. But you would want to be getting there and leaving your family. Like if your race is going at 8:45, you want to be leaving your family at the latest at 8 o'clock, like to then wherever you're going to park to then walk towards the line. Because I know 45 minutes seems like a long time, but you could end up walking 2K to the start line, and then by the time you get into your wave and then you start shimmying your way through the crowd, you'll blink and it'll be 8:30. Like.
Well, even last year, I got there at 8:10, and hopefully my better half doesn't listen to this podcast. But on the way in, we're driving down the N7. I'm like, right, we'll just keep going straight into town. And I don't know what I was doing. I was zoned out, thinking about the race, whatever it was. And next minute, she's going up the N50. I'm like, oh, she must be going in the N4. And next thing I know, she's going up past Blanchardstown and going in the N3. I'm like, why are we going the long way? So we got there at 8:10. And by the time I got through the crowds, so the crowd's really narrow and stuff before the bag drop, and people are there for wave 4 2 hours later and stuff, trying to that don't start from 2 hours. They're there early. So if it's your first time doing it, it's not like a normal race where you rock up. By the time I got to the start, I think I had a minute or two max, and that's trying to find a toilet as well before the race took off. And if it's especially your first one, you don't want to be nervous trying to get to this, panicking trying to get to the start line and getting into your wave and will it let you in and all that kind of rest, and you're trying to shimmy through people and all the rest, let alone what that first one or 3K is like. You said 8 o'clock 45 minutes, and that would be the very latest. That'd be the very latest.
I'd like to be leaving my family or leaving the car at 7:45. That gives me an hour. And that's, you've got you should have warm clothes on you, and then you're nice and relaxed. You don't want to be jogging up through the crowd to get rid of your bag, and then you're jogging and you don't know where you're going. Like an hour would be ideal. Worst case scenario, 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Mick, for people who are taking a little bit longer, we'd one person that messaged in saying, look, I have 2 hours in the car. What tips and tricks do you have for them as they're tipping up the road in terms of hydration, snacking, keeping themselves fueled? Because obviously they've gotten up a little bit earlier. They're driving up the road, getting parking, and probably have a longer journey than some of us. What little tips and tricks do you have for them, even on that journey, to kind of make sure they're ready for the start line?
Yeah, well, you see, those people, God help them, if they're a 2 hour drive and then they need to be there an hour before, they need to leave a minimum of 3 hours before the race, which ideally, the likes of us, I want to be finished my breakfast 3 hours before the race. So that person's maybe going to need to take some of their food with them. You know what I mean? If they're leaving 4 hours before the race, maybe do an hour of the journey, pull in at an apple green, maybe have your porridge in a wee Tupperware or your coffee in a wee Stanley cup, and an hour up the road, stop. Give yourself time to stop. Get the porridge into you, get the coffee into you, go to the toilet, and then drive another hour. Do you know what I mean? Rather than, because you've got a long journey, taking your breakfast an hour earlier than you intended to or than you wanted to. Like, ideally, the majority of us would want the breakfast in us 3 hours, somewhere between 2 and 3 hours before. If that person's driving 2 hours, they're not going to be able to do that unless they stop. So if that was me in that situation, I'd be taking it in the car, apple green an hour up the road, pull in, eat that, go to the toilet, do the next hour. And then on the way up the road, look, everyone to their own. If you're the sort of person that nibbles away on a banana and a Lucozade Sport, or you've got your pre-mixed drink, just keep it between your legs so you're sipping away, do you know what I mean? But everyone will have their own little routine, but just don't move your breakfast to a stupid time just because you have to drive.
We're at the starting line here talking here, but I want to take it back 24, 48 hours, the carb loading and all the rest. How does How does that work for you, Mick? And how does it work for people asking you does it work different for, because we talked 16 weeks ago and you're not someone who eats a lot leading up to training runs. You can go out fast and stuff like that, but and you coach a lot of people now. So when you're talking to them, what do you recommend, the 48 hours or 24 for carb loading? How does that work for you?
Well, look, you don't need to be carb loading from friggin' Tuesday. Like, you'll be walking around swole up and all sorts of ships. But if you stick to your basics, just keep it all very, very basic. Like, draw away from mad meats and fibers and all the day before. Realistically, I'll start eating a bit heavier from tomorrow evening, Thursday, and Friday probably a little bit more. I personally would want the most of my food, like big meal and stuff, on Friday, and then my biggest meal will probably be Saturday lunchtime. I'm not going to be going bananas on Saturday night, but on the evening, then you're just going to be sticking to basic stuffs, like basic. Like, everybody's going to be different. Everybody's going to like their own foods. Please do not start trying new things and changing and watching somebody's Instagram video about a fucking pizza the night before and thinking this is the great idea. If you've had friggin' Rice Krispies for the last 10 Sunday runs, well then just stick with your Rice Krispies. Do you know what I mean? Don't do your own thing. Stick to what you normally do. Don't do anything extreme. Look, the night before, everybody knows the usuals. You should be staying away from spicy sauces and spicy foods. And, you're not going to be going out for a rare steak the night before. Just keep your food. Keep your food just basic, you know what I mean? Well, the rice might be all right.
It might be. Depends on which Chinese you get it from, Mick. But I've yet to be caught out. We'll keep testing this.
You've tested a lot of Chinese to find the right one for you, Eric, I'm pretty sure.
Mick, when you are getting your way, and obviously with the carb loading, a lot of people are going to get what I like to call the phantom niggles. Everyone's knees are going to start hurting this week, and then the calf is going to be and then we're going to be stretching and foam rolling to death. How do people combat those little, I call them phantom niggles because they're not real. After the first kilometer, they all seem to disappear anyway. So how do you combat that and keep yourself kind of limber with the stress of we've gone from doing so much running into this taper, which could be new for some people. People are probably trying something different this time. How do you kind of be relaxed and make sure you're limber enough for the start line?
I made a good wee video on this and I'll put it up tomorrow. I'm going to tag you in it, right? And it's just constant clips of like, oh, it's my calf, oh, it's my hamstring, oh, it's my knee, oh, my back. And we all do it. Like, so if you're sitting listening and it's your first time and you think that this is on you and the world's crumbling around you, I'm 13 or 14 marathons deep, and this week I'll be walking around going, there's something wrong with my knee, there's something wrong with my back. And it is, you're right, Eric, it is like phantom things. You're almost looking for something. Because you're training less and you're a wee bit more lazy and you're sleeping a bit more and you're maybe eating a bit more. It just doesn't feel right. Things don't feel right. Your pace is maybe slowed down a wee bit. So things don't feel. But if you've got through the last 16, 18, 20 weeks of hard training and grueling training and Sunday runs and big miles, and your body's put up with all that, and this week you're told to take it easy, there's a high chance you're all right. Do you know what I mean? There's a high chance you're going to be okay. Like, unless something bad happened and you've been carrying this proper injury into this week, if you think that things are appearing this week, then you've done something silly. You're out doing something silly. But otherwise, you're more than likely okay. Like,
you've gotten through your niggles and stuff like that. You're at the starting line. There's a nervous energy. We've said before, the difference between nerves and excitement is just that one big deep breath and take it from there. When you're in the mindset for the start line, obviously, you're going to suffer. It's a marathon. No matter what level you're at, you suffer going through those 42.2 kilometers. And with that in mind, some people might try and rev themselves up. The Rocky music is always playing. But at the same time, you really have to try and find a way to settle into the race at the same time. So you don't want to be too revved up, adding on to that nerve, especially if it's your first one. When you're lining up and you say you're doing 13, 14 marathons, what is the mindset? What are you saying to yourself? Are you trying to rile yourself up for another PB attempt, or are you trying to calm yourself down? How does it work for you?
I'm the complete opposite. I'm trying to stay as calm as I can and just try and relax and try and understand it. Like, realistically, right? It doesn't matter who we are, if it's me or it's you, Eric, or you, Sean. Like, I mean this in the nicest possible way. No one cares. Like, no one cares. You care, right? And you care about your time, and the pressure's within you. Like we're going to go around that race, and all being well, I finish in a certain position, and you finish a certain position. But really, it's only you. It's your time. And you've spent more of these Sundays out on the roads by yourself in shitty weather, rain and wind, and then you're suffering, and then you're coming back, and you come back and you have to get stuck into normal life and take your kids to their sport or go to work or whatever, do it at 6 a.m, go to work all day. Sunday is the nice one. It's the nice version. You get to put on your shoes, your fancy shorts and vest. People are clapping and cheering for you that you don't even know. You get to the finish line, and honestly, I've had some brilliant ones and some really bad ones, and the celebration or the downside or the sadness, it lasts the same length of time. Come Wednesday, someone will just say to you, well, what's the crack? How's the kids? Da, da, da. They don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Do you know? So the whole point is just to try and stay as relaxed as you can for as long as you can. You don't want to be getting wired up with Rocky music in mile 1. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you go, fuck, how am I getting through this? The whole goal. And then during the race, I just go through this constant. Like if things start to feel like they're getting tight or difficult, I just try and talk myself around and be like, well, are you that bad? Are you really struggling? No, you've struggled more on a Sunday by yourself. You've struggled more during the week at 6 o'clock in the morning. Catch a grip of yourself. Oh, here comes a wee downhill. Take a breather. You will do a serious talking to yourself, but just try and make sure that when those wee negative things creep in or things feel like they're getting tight, do your very best to just bring it back, bring it back, bring it back. Whether it's a downhill, whether it's you ducking in behind a group, whether it's you taking your gel and a bit of water, do whatever you can just to try and relax yourself as much as you can, at least for a few minutes. You know what I mean?
And it's important at the start, Mick, because the start is, as everyone has described, and our pacers a couple of weeks ago described, it is a gentle climb for the first 8, if not up to 10K.
Yeah. Yeah, and Dublin's a great course. Like I know a lot of people come out and they say, oh, it's a hilly course, it's a tough course. Yeah, but there's a lot of pulls and climbs in it, but there's also a lot of downhills in it. And instead of going through, there's a good downhill section going through Phoenix Park. And if you're coming through there, don't be going through there trying to be a superhero or trying to make up time for later on in the marathon. Go through there, hold the pace that you're looking, and try and bring yourself your energy back. Do you know what I mean? So don't go down those hills in the first half of the marathon. The first half is a tougher half than the second half, if that makes sense. So from naught to halfway, any pulls you're going up, yes, just get through them, get over them. Any downhills in the first half, just use them to get energy back, get energy back, get energy back. Don't be using them to try and bank some crazy 10 seconds every mile. Just try and get yourself back, try and relax yourself. And then when you get into the second half is an easier half than the first in Dublin.
I found on marathons I've done really bad. The second half, I'm like, oh, well, you know, all the hills and stuff the first half did me in. It's like, no, Sean, it's the pacing from the get-go. You wanted to keep this pace. Like last year, I was like, just try and get in on 3:45, 3:50. And I started off at a 5-minute pace, get me near 3:30. I'm like, oh, maybe I have this again, 3:30. And halfway through, I knew I didn't. I was like, well, it's the hills. Like, no, I did not stick to the plan of that pace and being realistic with this is the goal, trying to get through. And when people say it's a negative split marathon, the fastest, you know, the second half could be faster than the first. Usually that doesn't happen. It's more inexperienced like myself go, try, get banked the first half marathon and then hold on for dear life the second half. But you will suffer a lot more if you try to bank extra minutes, like you said, bombing down the hills and stuff, being sparked to make up the second half. It's just absolute torture. And I hope I really listen to myself Sunday saying that right now.
Yeah.
I've done it myself. Like I've come through Phoenix Park and I've come down them hills and in them splits going, oh, look at this. 10 seconds up, you lunatic. Do you know what I mean? Like, and you see, it's like a frigging mortgage. It puts interest on in the second half. If you take them 10 seconds in that first half, it's coming back for 20 every mile in the second half.
Absolutely, 100%. You talk about the Phoenix Park there. I know Eric we touched on the start there. It's that steady climb and stuff. The first 3K where you could get lost in crowds and stuff like that. I find the first real challenge is when you're coming out through Chapel Lizard under the tunnel and that first big climb up to see where you're at. If you've got too much energy, you start bombing it up at the top. You can feel like, oh, I've done something wrong. But if you or even paced it wrong at that stage, that's usually the first sign of you're in for a long day if you're feeling really bad at the top of that hill.
Yeah. Look, I've had a lot of people in this week, like the majority of my people in this week have been getting ready for the marathon. So the crack's been good and we've been talking about different things. And I personally think that the hardest patch in the marathon is from 13 miles to 20.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I don't even know what happens. I couldn't even
No.
drive that route. I just always like I don't even know what happens there.
Yeah, and if you get to, like you said, Sean, if you get to 13 and you're already feeling the pinch, you're like, oh shit, you're honestly gonna be in a spot of bother. Like, so the whole goal would be to get to 13/14 and being like, I almost think I'm going too slow. I have a lot of energy here and I feel like I could move on, but I don't want to chance it just yet. So the goal would be to just stick to your pace, even a little small bit outside it, until that point, 13/14. And then at that point, you just sort of start targeting 20 mile, just keep 20 mile in your mind. And then when you get to 20 mile, look, all being well, you're still okay there. You can sort of start trying to let loose a wee bit or push things or put a bit of pressure on, because the route's pretty nice from 20 mile onwards. Like there's only maybe one more wee pinch at 23 mile there.
Yeah.
But I just all you're trying to say to people is just please try and almost get to halfway feeling like, fuck, I'm hanging back a bit here.
The first half is great to break it down. Like you can go, okay, right, I'm heading up Christchurch, I'm going across the Liffey, I'm going through Stony Batter, entering the Phoenix Park, Castleknock with the band there, coming through back into the park and into Chapel Lizard and the North Harriers or Lucas Aid stations there, that hill up to Kilmainham, halfway point, Crumlin Hospital. After that, I'm not too sure what goes on between 13 and 20 miles. But my point is,
no one does.
Yeah, and it's just a dead zone, and it's hard to find landmarks, stuff like that. But in my opinion, if people are like, where should I see it? It's great seeing them seeing people in the park because you can catch them twice. I think you did that one year with me, Eric. But between 13 and 20, if someone's 15, 16 and starting that second half of the marathon and they're starting to struggle a bit, and it's the long straights leading nothing. That boost of seeing someone cheering you on is such it's I can't even explain it. Like, it's just, you just get that extra burst of energy and knowing, okay, this is a struggle here at mile 14, but if I see my friend here at mile 15 or had that sneaky carb drink, and I wouldn't say rely on people for carb drinks or gels, but just having those people there near 20, because like you say yourself, once you go up that Heartbreak Hill, UCD, after that, you're nearly home. You will find a way to get there, but that long drag there between 13 and 20 is tough.
Yeah, and Heartbreak Hill can be used as a positive. Like Heartbreak Hill is a little pinch, right? It's not as bad as it sounds, I don't think.
Yeah.
And if you might agree with me here, you go up Heartbreak Hill and say you get, I don't know the exact elevation, right? But say it's friggin' 100 meters above sea level, but you're getting up to it in the space of, let's say, a minute. Mm-hmm. The other side of Heartbreak Hill is class.
Yes.
Like the other side of it is such a lovely long drop. Like, so don't go up Heartbreak Hill all super excited and like a madman. Just tip your way up that. It's quite short, so you won't lose a crazy amount of time if you just back off a small bit. Get to the top, rejig yourself and be like, right now, and then you've got that. There's a much nicer long drop at the other side of Heartbreak Hill, which will bring you right back to life again.
I remember the first couple of times doing it, I almost think it's not marketing, but you have the Lucas Aid station before that, and it's like, we hit the wall, 33% longer and all this kind of crack, and you go up with it. Like, I don't even think it's the toughest hill, it's just where it's placed.
There's a hill about 2 miles before it that's far worse. Yeah, I hate it. It's much more of a drag, and I think once you get up that, you're like, oh, I'm nearly there.
And there's no crowds there as well. Like, there's obviously crowds, but it's nowhere near what it's like a Heartbreak Hill, because the Heartbreak Hill closes in, the people, it's great. Where, like you said, Eric, it's a bit lonelier in that hill. I 100% agree with you.
Yeah, the very first time I done Dublin, I didn't know I was on Heartbreak Hill. Only there's a guy that plays music, and he was shouting out, like, he must have got names or numbers, and he was like, and here comes Sean, such and such, and Eric and Michael Fox, currently halfway up Heartbreak Hill. And I was like, what? What the fuck? And I was waiting on this big fierce hill and this thing that I was going to need a rope to get up, like, and then I got to the top of it and was like, maybe this is halfway now. And the thing, it dropped for ages, and I was like, is that it? Is that the whole fucking? I was afraid of it, like.
And after that, then it's just that one slip road on the N11.
And that's a 23 mile, and it's only a wee flyover, like. Yeah. And if you once you get up over that, you literally are pretty much downhill all the way home, like.
Yeah, it's a park run from there.
Yeah,
Mick, fueling on the day can be the difference of enjoying that hill or not. So from the time you arrive and you're in the pen and bringing us back to the start, because this is an important point. Do you fuel early, and how often? And your advice for people. We've had people on give nutrition advice. Everyone is so individual with their advice, and obviously, hopefully, they've been practicing over the last couple of weekends. But what way do you tackle the marathon nutrition wise?
Yeah, I've never been one to be very particular about it or fussy about it, and that's probably a downfall. Like, and you get on great guys, like there's a lot of good guys, good nutritionists and good sports nutritionists that'll give you all the science behind it. And again, everybody's different. I've tried to improve mine. I've been coached from Kevin Seward now from Christmas time, and in that process, when I first talked to him about fuel and gels, he was like, how many do you take? And I was like, oh, the last few marathons, I put 3 in my pocket, but I only took 2. And this man's a 2-time Olympian. And I was like, how many gels do you take in a marathon? And he says, between 8 and 10. I was like, what? And he says, you're taking 2 gels. I says, well, I took 3. I just forgot to take the last one. And he was like, oh, we need to fix this. Like, so my routine now and what will be Sunday is trying to take 5, but 1 will be on the start line and then 1 every 30 minutes. So look, I won't be too strict about it. If it's 25 minutes and you see up the road there's a water station coming, take the gel, get the water and then go. Do you know what I mean? But take 1 in the start and then 1 every 30 minutes. So that'll be 5 in total. Hopefully that'll be all. It's not too. Everybody's different, like you say. Everybody should be practicing things, and
it depends on how long you're going to be out there. If you're out for a 5.5 hour marathon, you're going to need a lot more fuel. So it's the problem with running slower like us is I have to carry more. I have like a duffel bag down at the back full of gels. I'll be selling them now next year when I get an entry in the lottery.
Someone asked me that, how often should I take them? And I was like, well, I take mine every half an hour. And they're like, oh, but I'm aiming for 6 hours. And I was like, oh, fuck, 12 gels in your belly. Like, you know what I mean? But then there's the likes of Ricky does 100k runs and maybe just on gels and a bit of food here and there. Like, how many gels do they take in an ultra? Like,
yeah, it's we've a good one in there from I think it's Felix in Intercontinental Enterprises. I think I'd need to remortgage to Gaff to get 1 every 30 minutes. No, I think we have some long runners, and as well, this episode's been sponsored by Perform, and we do have a good giveaway for all those who are asking questions for towards the end, a quick fire round with Mick. So, Felix, you're already in to get some gels. We might save you a bit on the mortgage there as we move on through the episode.
Nah, look, you can take whatever you want with you. There's different people. If you're going to be out for longer, maybe you should try and take some form of a chew with you, or a piece of a flapjack bar, some sort of solid food. Like, do you know what I mean? But again, it depends on who you are. Like, and I've gone from doing a marathon with 2 gels, like, and drifting towards 4 and 5. Like, so I would love to come out the other side of it and go, oh my God, 5 gels was some difference compared to 2. You know what I mean?
Were you ever tempted with a jelly snake or a Jaffa cake or something that gets handed out during the course, Mick, with 2 gels? I'd be starving.
No way.
Oh, I know that.
He hasn't got time to stop for jelly babies.
I remember taking a handful of sweets off some wee kid at about 21 mile in Dublin one day, and I fucking scattered the whole. I scattered the whole box. The poor wee critter's hand was out with his box, and I just fucking whacked it. And I grabbed a handful of them, and I looked back, and the sweets were all over the floor. I was like, oh God. And I remember I was like some sort of drug addict.
Came behind picking it up and eating it anyway. Don't worry about it.
Instead, I was in there to pick them up off the ground.
Mick, there's always going to be other little tips and tricks that people are going to either get on the morning av, like you might have heard in the episode previous, Sean, and his Vaseline was one tip that people were finding amazing. Sean putting them into his magic eyebrows there, and many other things. Some people are going to figure out about chafing. What are your top tips for dealing with chafing and managing that?
Right, the majority of the time I wear those tight, like cycling looking race shorts. I just prefer them. I like them, and for me, then it limits that. Number 2, I get bad nipple cut. I get it all the time. Dublin last year, my vest was white, and there was just these 2 big circles. If it rains or it's anyway wet, I get it. Now I saw this. It was a guy that raced in the UK. Oh, I can't even remember his name, but he took, that Kenzo tape, the kinesiology tape.
Yeah.
and he just cut 2 squares, bang. And I swear to God, boys, I've used that all through the winter. Do you know the winter runs when you're soaking and stuff?
Yeah.
And you can buy a roll of it for about £4, and a roll of it would do you months. And I just cut two wee squares off it and stick them on, and it won't move. It's way stickier than any plaster or any brand that tells you they're for covering up your nipples. 2 wee squares of that and stick them on. So they're the only 2 things that bother me. I don't use Vaseline or any of them things. So I wear tight shorts to stop it in my legs, and I stick 2 squares of that on to stop it in my chest.
And to your point, Eric, even if it's not wet, like or raining or stuff like that, the cups, all the cups and stuff like that, if you're not drinking them, they're going down. Like Barcelona this year, if you see me going to the finish line, I spilled so much drink and stuff all over myself that my bib actually ripped, and it was like half hanging off going to the finish line. I thought it wouldn't even get counted. It was just destroyed with water. So you're doing that at the t-shirt sticking to you. You know, you could.
I wouldn't mind, Mick. He was drinking the same that night.
I have a drinking problem. What can I say? Just over the shoulder.
Nothing to do with running. Mick, a lot of people are talking about the cup trick. We put up a post about it, and what way do you take on board your water? And if it turns out to be a hot day, what do you think about maintaining temperature, keeping yourself cool? Do you throw a cup down on the back and one into the bout, or what way do you maintain temperature when? Because sometimes on a Dublin Marathon, it can get up to 14, 15, which, if you listen to this, sounds like ridiculous cold weather, but in Ireland, 16 degrees is beach weather. So how do you manage temperature on days like that? Because we've seen finish lines where people have been in worse for wear in that last 5 kilometers.
Yeah, well, again, you can get the hop on that a few days before. You should be checking the weather in the week running in, and if you're in a marathon, it's going to be hot. You should be topping your electrolytes and stuff up in the days leading in to try and help that a wee bit. What a lot of people end up doing as well is overloading themselves with water. They're almost drinking too much, and then you're flying to the toilet and you're just flushing everything out of yourself. So don't go bananas on it either. You know what I mean? Keep yourself steadily increasing it during the week. In the marathon itself, the majority of time, thankfully, we've ended up with those little bottles. And with the wee bottles, I would always grab one, take a few sips of it, and then I don't ever throw it away. Like if I'm going to throw it away and there's still water in it, I put some down the back of my neck and I put some on my 2 wrists. Just squirt whatever's left on my 2 wrists and the back of my neck, and just try and hold or bring down your core temperature a small bit. People will throw them over their heads or whatever, but when you've got a big head of hair like mine, down the back of your neck's a bit easier. So if you're drinking the bottle and there's some of it left, don't waste it. Don't just throw it away. Pour it down the back of your neck, pour some on your wrists, take another wee sip of it, and then discard it. But other than that, you should be pretty prepped in the week leading in if it's going to be a warm one. I don't think we're going to have any issues with heat come Dublin on Sunday.
And there's a question in here from Luke, and says, how much water would you usually take on? There seems to be a lot of water stations on the course. Would you pass up on a water station? Because I know for some, it can be quite difficult to get across to a water station. Some people might panic if they miss a water station because they can come upon you, and by the time you realize you're in the crowd and it moves on. But how much water do you always just take a sip? I personally always just take a sip. It's better looking at it in my hand for at least a couple of 100 meters. What do you think about that one?
I'm the same. If you're gonna get it, take it and do something with it. Take it and take just one wee sip of it, even mentally. Like just what you said there, Eric, mentally, if you miss one, it can play with you a wee bit. You're like, oh God, it's going to be another 3 miles. If you just take it, you take a wee sip of it. Yes, I understand if you don't get the one, it can play with you, or it's difficult, but there is plenty of them. There are plenty of them in Dublin. So don't panic. But I would always, if I'm going by one, I wouldn't be tripping over someone to get the one. But I would say I take 8 out of 10 of the stations, I would take the water and just take it. And if I've got to a point where I'm like, I'm okay and I don't need any, I'll take it, I'll pour it on myself. Kind of just restarts you a wee bit. But in the marathon, people saying how much should you take? If people are getting detailed with so many mil per hour, per kilo of body weight, per grain of fucking hair you have, just
Sean's
go
taking
with
on
it. Just go with it. Do you know what I mean? Like don't get too mad about it.
I think the mistake, and what I've done, my mistakes recently on this, is that I've had way too much beforehand. For some reason, with my breakfast, I'm like, I'll have a protein shake. Why? I don't know. I just do. But then I'm having, my electrolyte drink, and sure, I'm having the Lucozade on the way in. I've had at least 2 cups of coffee as well. And I do wonder, I probably asked the question in the podcast, like, why am I going to the toilet 2 or 3 times during the race? I'm like, I've had 3 fucking liters before I even got to the start line. Then I'm having gel and more water there I've carried with me before it started. I've had 3.5 liters. And like you said there, it's just, I'm pissing it out of me. I'm stopping 2-3 times during the race. And that can just, it can ruin your momentum. It can ruin your flow. It really could be the difference between getting your PB or not. Obviously, time-wise, but it's trying to get back into that rhythm and stuff as well. So I think it's just don't change too much what you've done in your long run. And like I overthink it. I'm having way too much coffee and stuff. You're probably enough energy before the start of the race without needing that second, third, fourth cup of coffee.
Yeah, like you got to think back to, say, your last 5-6 long runs, and you go, right, say you did 30, 35k, maybe a bit more than 35k, and you think and go, right, what did I do that day? Did I have drinks every 3 miles? Did I have a Lucozade Sport every 6 miles? No, more than likely you had fucking nothing. More than likely. Like, honestly, that's the truth. Like, the majority of my 35k runs in the lead into the marathon, they haven't got no drink. You think it gels in your pocket, and if you're really stuck, you might have to stop for a drink on the way home. But like, you don't need to overdo it. Just don't overdo it. Don't get too panicked. Like, you don't need to drink 16 drinks on the day of a marathon if you've done your last 10, 35k runs with 2. You know what I mean? It's nice to have it there, but don't go mad.
Yeah. Another question came in from Teresa. Any advice if you get a stitch during the race? Happened to me last year in Dublin. And I suppose to bring that question on, like, things can happen at various stages in the race for different reasons. You might feel a niggle, you might feel something else, you might just feel tired, you might feel out of energy, but some people might have stomach issues. But how do you feel about, or what's your advice for even people you're coaching, Mick, about getting a stitch or feeling a little bit ropey during the middle?
Look, there's always going to be something crops up. There's going to be something with not with everyone, but you're going to hit a patch where it's almost that phantom thing. I'm not saying this situation is that you didn't get a stitch. Of course, you might have. In that, God knows what has caused that. Is it a gastro issue? Is it something that you've taken that has caused a bit of stomach upset? Is it, so there's no point in me sitting here and trying to spit out something that, if you get that stitch, here's what you do. You put 2 fingers on your ribs and you take 4 breaths. It's just whatever.
I think we've all been told that. I'm like that. I stick the fingers in the ribs, and it's because it is just a cramp. So I'm trying to just massage the cramp out and taking a deep breath, and I'll fold over and straighten up, and I do everything in my power to do it. I just thought that was something that was given to me when I was younger, but apparently we've all been raised the same.
Oh God! But look, no matter what comes your way or what crops up, you just have to sort of try and say, right, look, as quick as this come on me, it's gonna go away again. Like, so if something starts bothering you, your leg, your knee, your back, your stitch, whatever it is, like, just try and reboot yourself. Try and take a few deep breaths. Try and calm down. If you have to slow down a little bit, slow down a little bit. It's not the end of the world. Don't try and fight it. You know what I mean? Try and just go with it. If something's happening, just go with it. Get yourself through that wee patch, and then hopefully you come out the other side of it. But unfortunately, in regards to a particular answer for a stitch, I honestly don't know how you'd crawl out of that one just with one answer. Eric, maybe you're better at that one than me.
I've actually looked it up. How to solve a stitch in a marathon.
Oh, here we go.
So we're not far off. It actually says slow your pace, which people might be willing to do. Take deep breaths, slow breaths, and exhale when your left foot hits the ground if the stitch is on the right, and stretch by reaching your arms overhead, leaning your upper body to the side, pressing on the painful area and using pursed lip breathing. So we weren't too far wrong, can also help. So sticking the fingers in and stretching is actually a known method to relieve a stitch, and obviously controlling your breathing, because it is just a cramp in and around the diaphragm area. So but by all means, if you ever see me, sometimes I'll even put my arm above my head to try and alleviate a stitch, because I get them as well. So but I found pressing, breathing, and as I breathe in, kind of just as if you're doing a cobra, but while running with your shoulders back. It's like a weird dance, but it can help. It can get you through.
Eric, when you get that, would you stop and walk for a minute or two, try and get rid of it, go back up again? Because you talked before where you were on track for a 3:30 or what's that?
I'm too silly to stop, Sean.
We're on a podcast for advice.
No, but it's definitely, for me, when you're running, for me in particular, it's not as quick as Mick's doing it, but when I'm running, you're probably in the same running form. You're probably breathing a little bit shallower in certain paces, and you're kind of hunched over a little bit if you don't realize it. And then you just feel them starting to come on. And that's when I just try and open up the chest, open up and stretch and take a few deep breaths, breathe into the stomach to try and relax it. And it does go away after a little while, but they're just, and the 2 fingers into the where it's sore, kind of like as if you had a sore calf, you know, like, and you just try and massage it out. But listen, it works for me. It might not work for the next person. If people are writing in complaints to the podcast, I tried sticking fingers into my joint, ended up getting sick everywhere. I'm really sorry.
Or somebody's trying to have the way beside them with a stitch.
Yeah. But look, it's something. Hopefully, someone's gonna end up trying this on the day. And but anyway, Google said, so we'll blame them. The next one in is, any advice we can give to Sean when we spot him going out too hard, Mick? What do you tell people? What do you tell people when they get caught up in the crowd and when the gun goes, you find out you're 3K in and you're running a minute quicker than you said you would because you didn't look down. You're all smiles, you're all happy, and you're with the group. Can you recover it? What advice do you give for anyone who starts out a little bit hot?
Of course you can. Like 3K into 42K is nothing. Like, you know, like, but let's be real. You shouldn't be at the 3K point before you first looked at your watch. Do you know what I mean? You shouldn't be that deep in before you've gone like, oh, let's see what's happening here. Obviously everybody takes off and there's a bit of a panic. By mile 1, more than likely the majority of us will be a small bit up on what we would like to be. Yep. And at that mile 1, or if you're a kilometre person, maybe kilometre 1, maybe kilometre 2, but by kilometre 2 at the latest, you need to be checking that watch, like, and being like, right, okay, whoa, I have 40K to go here, or I have 25 mile to go here. Bring it back. And it should almost feel nice that if you've taken off and you've got caught up in the buzz and caught up in the bunch and nearly gone off too quick, it should almost feel nice to be like, whoa, slow this away down, and just try your best not to let the people around you sort of swarm you in a bit, you know. I've let that happen a few times where you're looking up. Like last year, there was a group of boys I intended to run with. I didn't tell them I intended to run with them, but the race took off, and I was like, right, there's the 4 lads I went
behind them.
Yeah, I was doing your chicken dance. But I went through the first mile in 5:18 or something, which was probably, they got to 10 seconds too quick, and I couldn't see these guys that were gone. And I remember just being like, oh, what do I do? Like, do I need to go with these people because like they're the people I want to run with? And what happens at the finish if they've ran brilliant and I've ran shite and da-da-da? And all this was at mile 1. And by mile 21, all 4 of them had come back to me. Like,
yeah,
you have a long time out there to just slowly chip away.
And a great advice you had was having the average pace on that watch where you see it goes from, like you said, you're 5:18 and it might just go, start slowly over the next couple of miles, slowly get back to the time you want rather than just completely killing it and trying to find that way. It's like you said, it's a long race. You're not going to lose it in the first 10K. Sorry, you're not going to win your race, the race in the first 10K, but you could definitely lose if you kept that going.
Yeah, look, that average thing is a great thing to have there because the live pace will shoot up and down all over the place. And for any first timers, if you've got the live pace on your watch, you're going to be getting up some of those points we spoke about earlier. And the live pace is going to go way out. It could go out by 10, 15, 20 seconds just for those 100 meters. And then for those 100 meters, you start panicking. Oh, shit, I'm way out. I'm gone. How am I going to make up 40 seconds, 20 seconds? Put the average on your watch and just stay as close to it as you can. And the deeper you get into the race, the harder it's going to be for that average to jump any drastic amount. Like,
stick to the plan.
We've another one here. I'm going to get your opinion because me and Sean fell victim to this, and it's about beetroot juice. Does beetroot juice help? Are beetroot tablets similar to the juice?
Oh
no, he's going to the fridge.
He's making a cup of tea.
Oh, would you look at this?
Right, Mick. How long have you been taking these before the marathon now? Because me and Eric did it like 12 hours before we start taking it, so that's why it didn't work for us. How does it work, and how long do you take before the marathon?
12 hours, and you had a luminous piss for a week.
Man's not wrong.
I started taking those things. Jesus, it must be, what are we into, 2025, 2021, I think. And someone had said about taking one of these per day for a week leading into the race. And then the morning of the race, you take 2. And then someone else had said to me about taking them for 10 days. So I stretched it out to 10 days. And I don't really know if there's a difference in a week or 10 days, to tell you the truth. But this time I have gone 10 days. And I'll take 2 on the morning of the race. And for anyone, I don't have any affiliation. I don't get these free. I buy them. They're great. They're great. I think they're good. It's certainly not a friggin' rocket up your arse. Do you know what I mean? But it's one of those last wee percentages, and like loads of people will talk about it. And unfortunately, there's like, I'll be straight and honest with you. I actually wrote to those guys because some of the videos that were coming up on their page were absolutely terrible. Terrible. Some guy was sitting in the car being like, "Oh, and I'm going to try this new beat it shot. I'm now going to do my session and I'll let you know how I go." He necked one of these, come back after his session and was like, "That's the best I've ever felt." And I'm like, that's not what this does. It doesn't do that.
It says it can help. And it says when you're an elite athlete and highly efficient, it's percentages. And it works by increasing nitric acid or oxide. It widens blood vessels to improve blood flow, increase oxygen to muscles, reduce the effort required to maintain a pace. Taking it 2 to 3 hours before a race and avoiding mouthwash is really important because it requires bacteria in your mouth. So that's one. If you're taking mouthwash and then your beetroot juice, you've ruined it. But yeah, some people say taking it a couple of days before. We would also say try it a couple of days before, because beetroot juice mightn't exactly agree with you either. It's always a risk when you try something new in the morning of a marathon, but that is what it's trying to do.
I would say a week. I would definitely say if you haven't taken them, don't be taking them now for Dublin. But I would say the best, you can buy a box of them, say, I think with like 15 in them, right? So if you bought a box of 15, then that would do you for 2 marathons. If you take 7 before one of them and 7 before another one, you know what I mean? And like I say, I didn't get that from any instructions. It was just a lad that was better runner than me, had been taking them and told me about them. And he said he takes 2 the morning of the race. And for the last maybe 4 years, I've been doing that before all of mine. And again, you don't feel anything crazy. You don't feel, if you see these videos of some fella telling you he's drank this and then he just flew around his session, that's not.
It's all about percentages, I suppose. There's a reason we're buying carbon shoes, there's a reason we're buying watches, we're getting coaches, we're taking gels with caffeine, and the extra percent, obviously, if you can get a hold of something that, like carbon shoes, when I did my first marathon in carbon shoes, I was like, I did not feel tired until about 3 or 4 kilometers. They did exactly what they said they would do on the tin, or maybe they did, because you could definitely feel it. And if you're looking for the percentages of increasing blood flow to the muscles, and beetroot juice is helping you do it, then it's worth a shot for an extra percent when you're trying, I suppose, to beat a time or beat a PB, but not essential as well.
Yeah, no, it's not essential. No, but for the sake of all these wee things cost, like, a box of them might be 20 quid. Like, it's worth it. If you're going into your next marathon, it's worth trying it in a couple of your long runs. And it's one of those things, when you take vitamins every day and you'd be like, I don't know if these make me feel good, but then when you stop taking them, you go, oh, you only sort of see, like, I've done 1 or 2 maybe half marathons, and maybe afterwards been like, God, I just didn't feel myself. Maybe it's not those, maybe it's in my head that it was those. But look, there's a lot of conversation about the likes of those things at the moment, like, so it's nice to talk about it and bring it up. And I'm telling you that I've been using them for years, and that I take them 7 to 10 days out. 7 days would be ideal, but please don't anyone try them this week if you haven't touched them yet.
Anything else not covered behind that could help us out for the marathon this Sunday, Mick?
I don't think so.
What else have you got in your fridge, Mick? What's in your fridge? This has turned into like sleepovers with your one from RTE, except it's us. What's in your fridge, Mick?
a load of children's snacks that I'm trying to stay away from all fucking week.
There's another one in here. Any tips for helping the mental game? Physically in good nick, but the block has gone well, but probably had more missed the target marathons than ones that I've been overjoyed with.
Sorry, say the end of that again. The missed the target what?
Yeah, so done plenty of marathons, missed their target. So the mental side of staying in the game for the marathon, and because they do a good block, they do a good training, and then on the day, the mental side of it, they probably get into their own heads.
Yeah, well, again, it goes back to what we were saying earlier. Like, without sounding nasty or sounding bad, like no one gives a shit. Like, do you know what I mean? You've done all the training, you've put in all the hours. Like, I find it weird even now. The last 2 years, like I'm so relaxed that this whole week of the marathon, I'm not too stressed about it. I don't be stressed going. I'd be more stressed going down where I'm, as long as I get parked and get to the start line. But the race itself, like, just you need it. The whole point is just to try and trust what you've done. I know you hear these cheesy lines all the time, like, but if you have put together 20 weeks of good training, and if it's either yourself doing it or your coach doing it, between you or your coach, you should be able to sit down and say, right, let's be realistic here. What I've put together, X amount of miles and sessions at certain pace, I'm capable of running 4 hours. And if you've done the right training, the good training, and put all that effort in, and for the last 4 marathons you haven't met that goal, well then something needs looked at. Have you really done the right training or the right amount? Is it maybe just something you're letting take over your head? Is it nerves? Is it panic? Is it worry? Like on the day, you shouldn't be panicking and worrying. Like it's literally, we're all doing this for a bit of crack. Like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean?
Find the crack goes over for me. Some people are very relaxed, but I get very angry with myself when them demons start to come after me. For that very reason, if I've put in a good block, I'm like, no, you deserve to be here. Everyone's gonna hurt in 40 minutes time, especially when you get to that last 7-8K when you're really hurting, and you're like, in 40 minutes time, I'm either going to be in a pub telling everyone how I almost got a 4 hour, or I'm going to be delighted with myself. And all I have to do is shut up and look at the floor and look at the line. And if I see someone even at the same pace as me, is like, stop thinking. Just stare at that person's back for the next kilometer. Don't do anything until you hear a beep, and then just relax. But I get really aggressive with myself in that sense. I'm like, I give myself the ultimatum. You can either be this guy or this guy. I can't say the words I want to say about myself, but it's, everyone has different kind of, I think people give up on themselves a little bit easy. They in that stage, and you can see it in people when they start to go, they lose that little bit of kind of aggression in themselves to keep going and push.
Yeah, well, you do need a bit of what you said. Like, you need a bit of, but maybe that version is nicer towards the end. Like, if you have 5K to go, like, right, shut your mouth,
Yes,
get your act together.
absolutely, yeah.
You know, in the early stages of the race, like, if the person there that's asked the question early on is beating themselves up, like you said, you know, they're not hitting their split at 1 mile, 2 mile, 3 mile, and they're going, what the fuck's going on? That's an awful lot of energy wasted early on. You know, instead of maybe using what we said earlier and calming yourself down and being relaxed, we've done this a load of times, chill yourself out. That's an easier way of dealing with all those things and those demons in the early stages. And then maybe in the later stages, switch to Eric mode and start shouting and roaring at yourself.
I'm actually just going to record a 3-minute clip of me abusing people. They can tune in. So Michelle says, Mick is such a voice of reason. He should record soothing meditations for running mindset. Mick, if you ever came over for running, I think I'd I think I'd run away, to be honest now. But apparently you're good for meditation and mindset. And Julie is also saying she's going to fall into the trap and try beetroot juice on Saturday. Julie, while you're at it, get a chicken fried rice from your local Chinese. And stick on a new pair of socks. Stick on a new pair of socks the next day. What's the worst that could happen? So there's great questions coming in. We do have 1 or 2 minutes left. So any more questions, please get them into us in quick. And also to mention Monroe, who was on the podcast as well, is running in silence. He is doing it for Chime, the charity. Mick, he's running with the headphones on, total noise cancellation. His son has he had the cochlear implants. His son was born, so he's doing the whole marathon, not hearing the crowd, not hearing a single thing. What do you think? So 2 options. Knowing what the Dublin crowd is like to come on to motivate people, how difficult do you think that's going to be for him?
Very, very difficult. Like, everyone that's asked me, do you listen to headphones? Should I take my headphones? I'm like, no, do not take your headphones. Don't take music. Listen to the crowd, listen to people. Like, that, it's a big help, like a big help. So that's a tough challenge, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, it's not
And
easy.
imagine even looking around you and like seeing certain people shouting, and you pretend to figure out what they're saying and stuff. You know what I mean? Where's this?
There's a bus
Well,
behind you.
There's a bus
yeah,
behind
there's
you, yeah.
there's that Eric boy shouting at me again, look.
And Mick, how good is the crowd, and how can people use it the best?
Look, Dublin Marathon's very, very special. I love it, absolutely love it. It's just you are going to hit patches throughout. There's probably more patches in the second half. You guys know it, where there's a few quiet roads and stuff like that. So when you're going through the patches that are crowded and busy and the music's going, just look up and take it all in. Like, take it in, because you don't know if you're ever going to get a chance to do something like that again in your life. Like, do you know what I mean? I know it sounds a bit morbid, like, but you don't know next week what's going to happen. Are you ever going to be able to run a marathon again? Like, so don't be glued to your watch and don't be so focused and wired in and going mad. Take a look up, take a look around you, freaking smile, enjoy it, because it's amazing. Like, Dublin is a very, very special place. Like,
And someone who's come in, one is on salt tablets. We'll come back to as well, a bit of nutrition and your opinions on it. And BJ has come in to say, remember, this is supposed to be fun. Main objective is to finish injury free. And Dublin was his first marathon and he had a ball. So like that, I think smiling is a very underrated trick you can use in a marathon, particularly when you're seeing people smiling and saying thank you. It just distracts you for a little bit. It's a phenomenal thing. And to bring it back on that, then on that salt tablets, have you ever used them for people who are probably out a little bit longer, or do we get enough in the electrolytes or the electrolytes?
I've never used them, so I honestly can't give you any talk on that at all. Like, I just think, once again, like, if you can get the most of this stuff from your food that week, like, it kind of, to me, feels like if you're jumping and rushing to things like that, have you missed something during the week? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, surely you can get enough in. There's guys there, like, I know some people are going to take longer to do it, but there's guys out there who run ultra marathons of 100k, 150k through mountains for hours and hours and hours, and they maybe don't take salt tablets. Like, their nutrition alone is getting them, you know what I mean? Getting them through what they need to do. Now, I'm not saying they don't take them. If it's something you do and it's been brought into your routine and you've been advised to do it and you've been doing it and it's working for you, then brilliant. I've never used them, so I don't know. Like,
it is a difficult one for people to try on the day as well, because you can actually knock your system out of balance by taking on too much salt, dehydrating yourself essentially, and you get that mix between salt and water. Like, if you're taking on liters and liters and liters of water, then maybe you need to add in a salt tablet for it to be able to absorb all that water. But in the most cases, for the standard athlete, they're not required. Even for the sweatiest, I come around looking like Frosty the Snowman. I'm just covered in white. But I tried it one year and it did not go well. On the other side, I went too far over because I thought I needed them, when in actual fact, I didn't. I was getting it through my food and everything else. So it's a good one. And another one has come in from Eamon. Top tip: cut your toenails tonight and not the night before. Have you ever had nail problems, blister problems, Michael? Any other shoe problems? How do we prepare our feet for the big day? Eamon, send us a picture, or it doesn't count. Make money off this.
I have very little nails left. I remember my daughter saying to me one day, "Daddy, I didn't know boys paint their toenails." I was like, "They don't. These things are just black." So, look, we've all done the silly things where we've maybe worn the wrong shoes and stuff like that. You know, again, it goes back to that's a pretty damn good tip there. Like, you know, but it goes back to, like, just don't be trying anything new or anything silly at this stage of the week. But that is a good one, because if you nip yourself or do something. But look, let's face it, during a marathon, I finished marathons and you've had blood in your feet and blisters and maybe nails have fallen off during it. I remember Dublin a few years ago and I was just like, oh, I felt something pop. And I was like, what was that? And I only had like a mile to go and I looked down at my shoe covered in blood. And we had stayed in Dublin that night, and in the hotel I was like, God, look, my nail has fallen out. It is obviously in my sock or my shoe or something. And then about 2 days later, fucking thing had all swole up, and I was like, no, it had pushed itself right back down into my toe. So I had to cut it open with a knife and pull it out. And I was sitting there, I was like, this thing's popped itself in here 3 days ago. Like, You
Oh
know,
God.
so
Well,
Hey, would
at
that
least
was
that's
my
all
you
right.
top tip to why'd you ask? And hey, we're bringing back
Eamon, from now
conversation.
on, you can keep your top tips. Jesus, that's all down the Park Road. And
You
then
have to be
obviously,
real.
Mick, we're coming up on the hour. You've given us so much of your time. Eamon says he regrets it already. But it's any last minute tips and tricks you can give to, there's 75 people still in. There was nearly 100 until Eamon brought his feet into it. But have you any last minute tips and advice for people? Because we've talked about this for the last 16 weeks. We've brought on guests to talk about it, nutritionists. This is like Christmas week for me and Sean. After this, they forget about fucking episodes on a Monday now. We're done. Dublin's over. Have you any nice messages for people? Because this is something to be enjoyed. It's something to be excited
Yeah.
about, not nervous about. Any last minute tips for people?
Yeah, look, just go back to what you said, right? I have come on with a new coach from Christmas, and the last thing he says to me all the time, I have so many screenshots, and it's just like, right, we're going to do this, this, and this, but most importantly, and his last message always, always says, most importantly, let's have fun. And I know that sounds cheesy, and I know it sounds whatever, but it's a freaking celebration. Like, do you know what I mean? For us guys, this is like the Super Bowl. Like, we all love it. It's our capital marathon. And when you're going there in the morning, just take it all in. Remember, you're not on an Olympic final start line with your wages on the line. Just take it all in. Look around you. Look at the jerseys and the tops that people are wearing in remembrance of people and the reasons they're doing it. And just be grateful. Be grateful that you can do it, because there are so many people starting this journey, lads, that you know too, haven't made it to the start line, whether it be an injury, a sickness, or whatever. So just be grateful, try and stay calm, and just enjoy it. Enjoy it. And whether you come out with good, bad, indifferent, or shite, there's always another one. Do you know what I mean? We can go again. But just the biggest thing I can say is take it in as much as you can and just enjoy it.
Yeah, and that's it. And the last tip from Eamon was make sure your arms are up coming across the line on that finish line instead of looking down, stopping your watch, because it's your moment.
Yeah.
Everyone is running to something, for something, or from something, and the marathon seems to bring the best out of everyone. So do, as Mick said, enjoy it. Have a great time. Remember your families who've put up with you going out every morning, taking the heat off you while you're out for 3 hours with your friends, having a great time, and a longer coffee afterwards. When you say it's a 4-hour run, it's a clever move. But remember all those who are going to stand in the rain, sun, chase you around Dublin on bikes with buggies and everything else in between. It's a fantastic occasion for the whole family. Do yourselves proud, do everyone you know proud, and everyone who's going to listen to you afterwards proud. But it's a fantastic occasion. Mick, can't thank you enough for giving us your time. For those who didn't, it's been an amazing one. We wish you all the best. Do you want to say what time you're going for, Mick? No. All right. Tune in next week to find out.
We'll just end it up.
We'll leave it at that. There's only two people I make that comment to. But listen, thanks so much for having me, lads. I really appreciate it. Honestly, what you're doing is great. Like I say to you all the time, you're providing us with something to listen to every week, and just thank you for what you're doing.
I think we'll end it with Bernard's comment there. Mick is a great ambassador for. Two other comments came in, just ruined the line there on me. Mick's a great ambassador for running in Ireland. Enjoy the race, and thanks for all the comments there at the end. Thanks for the questions throughout this episode of the podcast. Our first live podcast. That is a wrap. Mick, best of luck on Sunday. Best of luck to everyone listening or watching on Sunday. And that's it from myself, Mick, and Eric. Take care. Eric, how are you doing this live stream?
Before you end, Felix, who needs a mortgage for gels, if you can get in touch with us direct, you've won a Perform goodie bag to stop your remortgage in your house.
If Felix is still on. Right, we're gone this time. Take care.
Ciao, ciao.